Hello and welcome to another update video about Mana. Mana left the support area here after it hit the lower boundary line of that corrective price channel. You might know if you've been following my videos that whenever the price hits the lower boundary line of such a corrective price channel, it might be, or it is a good signal for a possible turnaround. Especially in this case, it was coupled with the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement, a very strong support. And while I cannot rule out that this is still a fourth wave and we get a fifth, I want to give it the chance to break out now. So let's first of all check how far it retraced. So it retraced now to the upside more than the 50% retracement. So in an impulse, I cannot really count that a wave 4 anymore. It has so far avoided an overlap with the wave 1, but it still is stronger than the 50% retracement. Now, typically in a diagonal pattern, and the C wave could be a diagonal, that's not a problem. You actually want often an overlap between waves 1 and 4 in a diagonal. So I cannot rule out that this is still a wave 4. As it's often the case, the first strong pullback will tell the story. And this week we have a lot of uncertainty because of the CPI data that's going to be released, right? So this is going to be interesting, and this could shift the market into maybe to another low, depending on what is going to come out. My feeling is, though, that inflation might not run hotter than expected, and that might actually have a positive impact on crypto. But that's just purely hypothetical. What we can really only trade facts. We can only analyze facts and what we see in the charts. Anything that's measurable, that's what we can do, staying objective, not thinking about what could happen, because anything could happen, right? So we can only do focus on what should happen. And at the moment, it reversed out of our support area. Now, it hasn't really made a higher high. I really want it in the next step to break above 62.5 cents. That's also going to be next resistance. Why is that the case? It is the first or the next relevant swing high. It is this swing low. It is this swing low. It is this swing low. That's a very relevant level, 62.5 cents. Yeah, this is resistance, and quite an important one. After that, we've got the, let me see. Oh, I need to move that a bit higher here. After that, we've got the 67 cent level, the previous wave 2 high. By that time, however, we will most likely have broken out of the corrective price channel anyway. And the corrective price channel is really key because a break to the upside has bullish implications. As you can see, it has a bit more work to do to get there. And I really want it to gain some traction now to the upside. It needs to. I could very well imagine that it tests the upper boundary of the price channel before coming down and testing lows, because in a breakout scenario as well, I think one more high would be useful and would be needed to give us a breakout pattern. Why is that the case? So if we count that in a bullish way, I would count it as a wave 1, A overshooting B wave and the C wave down in 2. And I would say this might have been the top of the third, fourth and fifth. So similar to what we see on many other crypto charts. I don't like the idea here that this is such a strong overshooting B wave. In an alternative count, we could say this is the one, the wave 1, but then it would be a diagonal pattern, because then we have 3 waves in one. We've got our wave 2 retracement, 3 waves in wave 3. This could be a 4, and we could already be in the fifth wave. But that would be the idea of a diagonal. A diagonal pattern cannot be the primary expectation. Typically, if you have at least a certain likelihood for an impulse. So this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I have to say, though, that this wave 4 came down quite a bit. So they would rather bolster or support the idea of a diagonal pattern, because this wave 4, I mean, I see that came certainly below the 50% retracement unless I'm completely wrong. Yeah, it did. See, you just see that. So it came below the 50% retracement. Yes, it recovered quickly, so I give it the benefit of the doubt, but still, normally you don't want a wave 4 go below the 50% fib retracement, okay? But let's count it like this at the moment. Could get a little bit more out of this to the upside, and I gave you the key resistance areas anyway that are relevant now. So maybe a little bit higher. Then I would need to see a possible higher low in a wave 4. So that means if we peak here somewhere in this third wave, to get that fifth, I need the fourth wave to hold a certain level, which at the same time is a possible trade setup. We had a few good ones today. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few other ones did hold their wave 4 support. There was actually this one here. Yeah. But let's measure, you know, what is this fourth wave allowed to do? So at the moment, I can only base it on the last swing high. It might very well be that this third wave will push a little higher. So that would impact targets a bit. But let's just start from a lower point. It would indicate that, because I can't, you know, I have no confirmed top in place, so I have to base it on the last high. So if we now come down in a fourth wave, ideally it gets to 58.3 cents as a minimum if it starts to move down now. If it goes a little bit higher before coming down, those targets will shift a bit. But if it comes down, I would want it to see at least come down to 58.2 cents or 58.3. The ideal target though would be 56.8 cents. And then the 50% is the maximum. It shouldn't do any more. If it does, then it is likely that we had a top in place already. And the wave 2 will then come down a little lower, but it will then give us some clarity around the 78.6 retracement level, which will be lower depending on how high we eventually go. But be aware that from a support point of view, this wave 2 is going to be very critical. And that's 51.8 cents. So you could just say, overall, you can focus on higher as long as it's holding the 51.8 cent level. And I would focus on those resistance levels that I showed you. Yeah, keep watching those levels. What I could very well imagine is going to happen, and again, that's just purely hypothetical, that we have here an inverse head and shoulders coming, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and it shows you how Elliott waves and these patterns work together, because it would be the 4 and the 5, and then it ideally breaks out, yeah, but as per this, so it could break out and just extend higher, or what it will do, it might print that pattern but not break out. This will complete the 5-wave move, and before we actually break out, we will do a little bit like an ABC before we then come higher. So that, you know, might do another head and shoulders or whatever, inverse. But this is something that how it should look eventually if we get that 4th and the 5th. So yeah, that's my update about Mana. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.